Heartcatch Precure is a really great show, but it reminds me of something. That is Shugo, Chara, a show released a few years earlier. This is for several reasons. The first is the flowers. This one's pretty blatant. The premise of the show is that the protagonists episodically fight off monsters made from people's hearts, purifying them after arguing with the victim about why they actually shouldn't be sad. The victims of this event don't seem to remember it, but still get the lesson, which allows the heroes to remain anonymous. The victims are usually children with the odd exception. Another surface level similarity is the transformation phrase. My heart, unlock, Precure, open my heart. But then we get to the characters. The first is of course Tsubomi, a transfer student who wants to change her personality to be more friendly and outgoing so that she can get more friends, who is helped out by a few magic pet things she discovers, and kidnapped by an extrovert to join a club in which all the superpowered people with little fairy pets that give them powers gather. She then asks if she can change, and if so, how much she has to. Also, she gets crushes on people rather easily, with her most important ones being the blonde student council president and this dark-haired mysterious edgy boy. But maybe that isn't enough to convince you. Perhaps we can look to Erika, who actually reminds me of Yaya, being the slightly meta Genki girl, who is very childish and talks about them as if they are superheroes, which to be fair they kind of are. Throughout the story she learns to become the leader of the club, though in Yaya's case that's because everyone else is graduating. Throughout the story she learns to do things only she can do, like being a great fashion designer, instead of the things she's bad at, like being a model. Which reminds me of Nadeshiko, excepting she can't dance the same way as a girl can. We should also look to Itsuki, who reminds me of Nagihiko if they were way less controversial. So both Nagihiko and Itsuki pretend to be the opposite gender due to family obligations. Itsuki to take over a judo dojo and Nadeshiko to dance as a girl. But in Itsuki's case, everybody already knows Itsuki is a girl. They just go along with it for fun, which makes sense as this is a more lighthearted show. Itsuki also uses the name Itsuki for both gender presentations, whereas Nadeshiko's legal name is Nagihiko. But they both have an arc where they reconnect with the things they like about their legal gender, and ultimately come to act that way full time, while also keeping the things they like about their assumed gender, with Nadeshiko playing basketball, and Itsuki joining Erika's fashion club. It's also worth noting that the Nadeshiko thing was the plan all along, whereas Itsuki only pretended to be a boy once her older brother got sick. And then we have to talk about Yuri. She was actually a Precure before the show started, but had to stop due to a broken heart. Literally and metaphorically, her fairy died. However, she plays the role of an advisor before eventually regaining her powers. This is also somewhat similar to Nagihiko, with them acting in a support role before their eggs hatch again. She is also the first older Precure the series ever made, with her being in high school, which is another similarity to Shugo Chara. Shugo Chara has a lot more characters of different ages than most magical girl shows, with Yaya being like 9 at the start of the show, and the oldest being Ikuto, who grows to be like 17. But thanks to the support of everyone, she is able to reconnect with her fairy thing, and regenerate her Precure seed in order to fight once more. There are also a lot of little coincidences that wouldn't be much on their own but pile up. One is all the redemption arcs, but Precure is very spammy with redemption arcs as well, so Shugo, Chara, and Heartcatch Precure redeeming all their villains isn't that much of a coincidence. We also have to acknowledge all the family drama in both shows. Tsubomi's grandmother is actually a former Precure, which resembles Tadase's uncle being the first king. There is also Itsuki, who we went over, and Yuri, whose dad works for the villains and created a dark Precure to oppose the heroes. Shugo Chara as well is a show built on family drama. Easter is basically just Ikuto and his family causing problems for people. This is interesting to me because Precure is rather light on family drama, except for with like Kiria or whatever. There is however one major difference. Heartcatch Precure doesn't have romance, whereas Shugo Chara is a romance anime. We get Tsubomi's little crushes here and there, and this one episode where a kid likes Yuri, but that's about it. I think this is a nice callback without forcing Precure to become something it isn't, but if you've enjoyed this video, consider liking, commenting, and subscribing to see more videos like it.